Gifts and new additions, stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly Eastway. And indeed, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you've had or are having a really lovely day. Now, what's new at Piccadilly Eastway? So let's take a look, shall we? Well, first up, there's a lovely gift from my daughter here. Dad's train stuff, love that. Now, this is a lovely wooden box which I've decided to use for all of my model paints. And I don't know about you, but they get everywhere. And they were all over the tables, all over the surfaces, and it was a right old mess. So to have them in a nice, neat storage box makes the world of difference. Right, these next few items are more purchases than gifts and enhancements, I suppose you could say. So obviously I've got the Hornby enhanced bass speaker here. So this I think is Hornby's version of an EM1 speaker. And if I'm right, what they've done is basically just cut the plug off or cut the wire and put the little connector plug that they're using onto that. And along with that, I've bought another 21 pin HM7000 decoder. Now you might be thinking, what are they for? Well, the flirt is the thing basically, because it requires 3 decoders. Now, I've been running it with just the 2. They physically get it moving and the sound's not bad, to be honest with you. I quite like it. But it does advertise for a 3rd decoder in the, I say the motor unit, but the motors are in the driving cars at the end, but the little car bit in the middle. So if you put an enhanced speaker in one of those, in theory, you should get a much deeper sound. Next up, as we're getting bigger in scale, if you like, is another Mark IV coach. Now this is coach D. I don't know whether you can see that just there, but that will sort of add to the count. Now that takes it up to 4 at the moment. So they're not coming out onto the layout until I've got at least 6, and we'll see how it goes in getting those. Maybe I might be able to pick up another 1 or 2 in the sales, depending on how much they drop in price. Also need to get a DVT, Mark IV DVT, that is, obviously in this livery. But they're running quite high at the moment, 75, 80 odd pounds, 90 pounds in some cases. So we'll see what happens in the New Year's sale. Okay, next up. Right, so we're getting bigger in terms of models now. And this, as you can see, is the Rapido Trains Lion. Now, I got this really cheap. As you can see, it is a used one. And this was £119. Now normally if they're new they're around about the £180 mark, and if you have one fitted with sound it's well over 200. So to get this for 119 I thought was an absolute bargain. But you might be saying to me, John, didn't you get the Hornby Tiger a little while ago and for £56? Yes, I did. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Well, there it is. That's Hornby's Tiger. And basically, it's when I first got it out the box and I put it on the rolling road and I ran it with the Gauge Master Combi. Incoming. That. Perfect. Brilliant. Ran absolutely gorgeously. And then I thought I need to put a DCC decoder in it. And Hornby advertised the HM7000 as being a compatible one with this, with the Next 18. So I tried to fit it in and it barely went in. There was hardly enough space, and to try and get it to stay connected and fit it inside there as well was an absolute nightmare, I'm not going to lie. And then I had the issues of downloading the sound and the decoder just wouldn't have it. And I phoned Hornby and they said, you've got a faulty decoder, just send it back and we'll refund you. And they honoured that, and they did refund me for the decoder. And that was when they were doing them for about 30 odd quid, if you remember that, a little few months ago. And so I thought, well, my next option would be to get an AE decoder because they're a lot smaller and they're proven to be very, very reliable decoders, available through DCC Concepts. So I got one of those with the Stay Alive, and as it had run absolutely beautifully in the first place, I thought, well, if it runs beautifully in DC, it should run beautifully for DCC, but it will need a Stay Alive because, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of pickup space there, and it's only got one driving wheel, which is that big one in the middle there. So the only way I could get the Stay Alive in was to drill a hole through the bottom of the tender and then feed the wires in so that the Stay Alive's in the tender just there. So I decided to do that, no problems at all. But then when I put it on the layout, the motor started to speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, which in hindsight could have been the back EMF. But on the other hand, I thought it could be the motor. So I whipped the motor out, put it, I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've drilled a hole through the tender, and no one's anybody going to take it back. So the motor was fine. But then more problems came when I tried to refit the motor. It wouldn't go back in properly, wouldn't seat properly. However many times I tried it, and believe me, I tried several times to put the motor in, it was always not connecting to the worm drive properly. And sometimes the motor would just literally just whir, and you try again, pushing it down. I couldn't get it to do it properly. And then I accidentally picked it up and broke one of the com rods. And I thought, this is just... So I put it away for a while, and you haven't seen it for months since I got it. And that's why, because it was just an absolute nightmare. So I was scrolling on the internet one day and I come across a new model shop. Now I wasn't sure whether it was a real model shop or whether it was a shop that had actually closed down. So I gave them a ring. And somebody answered, and I thought, this is great, because they'd got them out, they got parts advertised. So I bought a new chassis part because I broke the chassis parts that go underneath that show all the working rods. They're fixed, but you know, it's quite a nice thing to see. So I bought one of those, bought some new wheels, and bought new com rods. Great. Fitted it all up, managed to eventually get the motor back in because again, the same issues arose. Put it on the track, and for the first time it actually ran around the layout in forwards direction, but not all the way around the layout because it kept stopping. And then I thought, I'll try reverse. Big mistake, because that's when again the com rods started to do this figure of eight fashion and they popped off. Yeah, again, I didn't mention that on the first time, but the com rods just fell off, and I've literally had to prop that back in to hold it there so it looks like it's all right, but actually it's not. If I move it, that will fall out. You know, there you go. You see, it literally just drops out. So I then spoke to Sam at the NEC show, and it turned out he was the designer for this. Now, unawares, I just told him the story of this in passing. We just got chatting, you know, like you do with some people, and you can really make that sort of connection, if you like. And we just get chatting about anything. And so I told him about the Tiger, and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that because I designed it." And I can see he was mortified, and I didn't mean to sort of upset him, but he bless him, he went on a bit of a mission to see if he could get it sorted out for me, and customer services actually contacted me about a week later. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, wow, this is amazing, and Hornby might actually do something about it. Now I was honest about it. I told them about the hole through the tender, and they could see the weathering, and so I sent them pictures, and they come back to me and said, look, we can't take it in because you've done this and this, but we can send you parts. Now there's been 2 or 3 emails going back and forward, and the last one was about 2 weeks ago. So my last question to them was, is it a possibility you could send me an assembled chassis for this front part, or at least a brand new chassis with the motor attached and the wheels attached and the conrods attached? And if they're able to do that, which they might not be able to do because it might just be too much, I don't know, then I might be able to get this one working along with the Rapido line. So that would be good. If that's not possible, then I'm just going to rust this up, make it look as if it's just been left and dilapidated, and it will sit as a static item on the museum area that I'm going to build. As I said, when I saw the Rapido one, I thought I'm going to jump at that. Okay, let's move on. Now this is Rapido's version. So let's have a look. And you can see it actually works. Now it does need a stay alive, I'm not going to lie, and to run from there to there it has taken a fair few chunk clips, purely because it stalls around about here somewhere. Now, so my idea is obviously I'm going to fit a DCC decoder in it, and I'm hoping that I can take the decoder out of this one. If I put the two side by side, you can see the difference, and put the decoder and the stay alive into that one, and hopefully I can get them running absolutely beautifully. Now, if Hornby do come back to me with this, then it would be really lovely to have the two side by side, because you can see they are different. I mean, that one's got a brass dome and this one's got a black dome, so it would be really nice to be able to see the two running side by side, but we'll just have to wait and see what might happen in the future. Okay, right, so next up, yes, I've gone ahead and bought the 800 Linear Azuma train set. I couldn't resist it, to be honest, because when you look at the full VAT version of these, they're pushing £450, you know, and that's for a 21 pin. You can get some 8-pin ones for about the 370 mark, but nevertheless it's still a very, very expensive purchase. So I thought I'll give this a try and see what happens. So these are being advertised for about 160 something, 161, and Rails of Sheffield had them in first, and I thought, well, I'll phone them and find out what radius of track this is. And they come back to me and said it's second radius. Okay, in that case it's not a lot of good to me, because I only want third radius on my 00 gauge layout. So I thought I'll phone the next one on the list, which was Rainbow Railways in Scotland, and I said, have you had any opened yet? And they said no, but if you would like us to check the radius, we can do that for you, no problem. And they come back to me and said this is second radius, even though it advertises third radius on the track, on their Hornby website. Now, I'll be honest, when you look at the back, it does imply that that is second radius, the red one, and so therefore this grey one around the outside would be third. Now, I'm only going by what Rails of Sheffield and Rainbow Railways have said to me, but if it is second radius, as I said, it's of no use to me. So they said, is that a problem then? And I said, well, I only want third radius. I tell you what, we can take the track out for you and the controller, because you don't want that either, and we'll do you a deal. And I thought, wow. And the price they come back to me with was absolutely fantastic. And so I bit their arm off. And I'm going to do a review on it on the next video, so you'll see it in action. But I thought, I wonder, let's have a look at the next thing. I know, the test livery, all white. Now, when I was at the NEC show, and you might remember I said I spoke to Sam with regard to Tiger, I got talking to him initially about this, and they said to me, they volunteered the comment that we've even used the same couplings on the railroad one to these. And I thought, now if I buy a pack of 4 coaches, I'm looking well over £200. Rails of Sheffield, I got these for £129.99, and there's 3 coaches in there. And I thought, that's too good to be true. So what I've done, you can probably see it up there now, I've actually fitted the 3 coaches, the full fat coaches, and it does run. So the video where I actually review it, we'll be looking at it with a decoder in it, because that's on DC at the moment. And will it go down the ramp and back up again? And if it does, I'll get another pack of these, and then I'll be in time, I'll buy the 2-car pack of end vehicles. If that works out well, and then the plan would be to super detail the 2 driving cars, and obviously I've got to put a livery on there, but that will literally just be a printed sticker or printed vinyl that I print off on the printer, and then just carefully cut around the windows and then stick it on. So we'll see how it all goes. It's not the easiest of liveries, but on the other hand, it should be very easy. So we'll take it one step at a time, shall we, and see what happens. But anyway, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing all the different goodies that I've turned up to the layout over the last few days. And I'll look forward to showing you what this train pack is like in the next video. You just have a lovely rest of the day, and I will catch you very, very soon here on Piccadilly Eastway. Bye-bye for now.